quick welcome. We're going to go through the AGM resolutions, which is the main aim of this, and then strategic plan update, national team update, which Becky will give, progress update, and Q&A. Just for anyone who's not familiar with the organisational structure, here it is. We have two sports within British Obstacle Sports, Ninja and OCR. OCR represented by Becky currently, and Ninja represented by Ali. I think it's really important that we highlight that we've got two distinct sports within British Obstacle Sports. They're self-governing within the sport, and they support any sport-specific functions. So Ninja Championships will be supported by the Ninja Sport Technical Committee, OCR by the OCR Technical Committee. And we have joint governance committees that are supported by both sports, which we'll cover, and then the standard business functions of a sport. And I'm really pleased with how the organisational structure has come together, and a lot of hard work from all the team. Both sports have representatives, and then we have myself as chair, we have elected directors, we have non-exec directors. Our mission is to ensure everyone in the UK can enjoy the endless possibilities of obstacle sports. So that's really important that we kind of use that lens through everything we do in terms of just how we love our sport, how different it is, how many different variations it can be. And it's so important that we use that lens when we judge anything we do as a board, as volunteers, as a team. We've come a long way since May 3rd, 2019. That was before I was involved. It was Honor Avara, who's on the call as founder and still on our board. We've been through some tumultuous years that some of us will know from a governance perspective and the governing body perspective, but Honor founded, and then we got the community involved, and we've gone from strength to strength in terms of the things we've done. Many firsts, developed our membership program, our first rule book, our first national championships as British Obstacle Sports, first Ninja Championship ever, all the various championships around the world. Really, really grateful for all the hard work from everyone. And then this continues from 2024 to date. We've got our pre-application approved. We've now got multiple league series. We had our first 100-meter championship last year. We had our first elite European medal with Beth Lodge since back in John Alban. And we had our first world's medals with our team relay bronze. And we had our 100-meter relay bronze this year. So we're starting to get elite medals, which is really, really important. Becky joined the board of the European Obstacle Sports Federation. That's really important to develop our influence globally. We were number one. Oh, I shouldn't steal your thunder, should I? But we were number one. I am. We were number one at the OCR European Championships from a medals perspective as well, which shows kind of the strength of the national team and what we're doing. I think actually, and probably the middle one, number 6, I haven't highlighted, is all the work that's gone into the full application. And actually, we're a really well-functioning governing body with safeguarding policies, disciplinary policy, how all the important things that you need as a governing body, which is why the Sports Council's asked for these things, we have as British Obstacle Sports, and there's been a lot of work from a lot of people to get us to that point. And we're 100% volunteer-led, which I don't think everyone always realise. Every single person at British Obstacle Sports is a volunteer. They all give their time because they love the sport and want to see it develop. And it's pretty epic to see kind of how far we've grown as an organisation. We're not without our challenges. I actually called these out at our last AGM. We have administrative challenges. We are volunteers, and then that workload does. So when things don't go quite right, or we've not put, people have expectations of what a governing body is. Quite often it's because we're volunteers. We've not necessarily been able to put all the work that we wanted to put in just due to constraints of our own time. But because we are a really strong and professional organisation, it does mean that the community expectations are high as well, because I think rightly we've done a really good job as British Obstacle Sports. So these are the 3 challenges I think as a board that we talk about quite a bit in terms of the administrative challenges. There's a lot of work as we grow and scale. The volunteer workload and the pressure we put on our volunteers. We want to retain our volunteers as well. And the second, the expectations of the community. I think this one's kind of come up more recently. It's been something that's been around. And to be honest, it's something that we've largely ignored to an extent because we focused on our national structure and getting British Obstacle Sport strong. But the international governance situation with UIPM World has become more and more important discussion. So it is something we talk about much more heavily as a board now as well. We'll talk about this more later as well. Yeah, at the UK Obstacle Racing Awards, we're very glad to have Alan here from UK OCR. We British Obstacle Sports won Community of the Year. But we haven't properly had the opportunity to say thank you as well, because we didn't have the awards in person. But I just want to say thank you for everyone that voted for us for the OCR Community of the Year. We're very, very grateful. I think that's the second time we've won the award. We do see ourselves to an extent as a community of communities as well. I think it's probably the right time to say maybe we don't stand for that award in the future, because I think we are a community of the communities, and maybe that gives us a slight advantage in winning. Although I should give a shout out to Scottish OCR who won in between the two wins that we had. But again, just really want to thank everyone who voted for us. We are also up as a nominee for Community Impact Awards for the Running Industry Awards. So again, highlights all the work that's happening at British Obstacle Sports. That Running Industry Awards, and you have big organisations like Good Gym that we're up against, and for whatever reason I can't recall other names, but there's a lot of big names in there that we're up against, and no, it's a testament to all the work that everyone's doing that we're up for these kind of awards. How you can help? I think everyone on here is renewing their membership. It's just keep spreading the word and volunteer as best as you can. I know it's not always possible, but even volunteering at an event once a year makes a big difference. Or if you wanted to get involved with something at British Obstacle Sports, you can always reach out. There's always different bits you can do, whether it's an ad hoc thing or on a committee. We've got a few outgoing committee members to thank. So just want to thank Karen, Fabian, Sean, Gemma, and everyone's covering that last one, so I can't see who it is, and Lindsay. Thank them for all their time. Some of them aren't actually completely leaving. Lindsay's still involved in many things, but is leaving the Youth and Safeguarding Committee. So I want to thank them for all their time. Again, it's a big effort that everyone puts in, attending meetings on an evening or in the day when there's other things that people could be doing with their time. So again, really, really grateful for their contribution. And just want to thank all our members. I know it's not a huge amount of money, but it's still money that you're putting forward, and that's a vote for us as British Obstacle Sports. So I want to thank you all for being members and showing your support to the organisation. And also want to thank our True Cost subscribers. I'm really hoping I've got everyone's photos correct in here. So our True Cost subscription, it costs a little bit more. It costs £60 a year, and it's just a little way of trying to keep our overall membership lower. So everyone here is paid either £5 a month or £60 a year, and it just goes that extra little bit to help support the organisation. So I'm not going to read everyone's names out, but I'm going to just slowly click through. And Chris Shipley's given a lovely photo there, and just say thank you to everyone on this list. It does really help the organisation, and there's some real stalwarts of the sport in here as well. So thank you to everyone. And also to our partners. So we've got partners that are kind of, I guess, official partners, but also just all our events and affiliated events, licensed events, and affiliated training centres and activity centres that support the organisation. Because ultimately, without our members, without the event centres saying they want to be part of British Obstacle Sports, the organisation doesn't exist as an organisation. All right, AGM resolutions. I'm going to say the fun bit, but maybe that's a lie. But a really important part of what we do, and to get the votes of all our members. It's an elective process, and we've got these resolutions. We've got our minutes from 2024. We've got our financial accounts. We've got our updated Articles of Association. We've got the proposed integration vote for UIPM World Obstacle, which isn't, I guess we'll get to that, it isn't an integration at this point, but it's just more of authorising the board to continue discussions. And then we have the elections for the board and the technical committees. So all eligible members have been sent ballot details to your registered email address in order to vote. It's the only way to vote. We've gone digital, we've always been digital, so you can't raise your hands, unfortunately, if you're in the room or you're online. So if you do have any technical difficulties, You do need to get in contact with Tim by info@britishobstacle.org. And he will help. He has access to the tool and he can send you a link to be able to vote if you can't access it on your email. And you've got until 7:30 p.m. today to cast your vote. So, first resolution. Resolution 1. Approve the minutes of the British Obstacle Sports AGM held on June 29th, 2024, made available to all members. Do we have any corrections, any comments, anything to note on this? I'll just hold for a second, but I'm going to assume that's the same online. As I say, we're going for these resolutions. You still can vote up until 7:30 p.m. Approve the British Obstacle Sports financial accounts for the financial year 2024-25, made available to all members. So all of these documents are available on our AGM page, and then also when you've got to vote as well, so you can see the information. Yeah, so we had income of £32, slightly less than previous years, but more or less in the same territory. I think we're about 38,000 last year. Cost of sales were an additional expenditure was slightly lower than last year, so it did allow us to make a profit, which we, as a board, discussed. Should we make a profit? Should we invest in something at this point? We decided, in line with our reserves policy, it was important to build up a company reserve, essentially, just for unforeseen circumstances. For example, we don't have the income that we need to ensure we cover our membership insurance, because that raises as a cost. So we need to have a strong financial reserve. So that's why we're now at 9,345. Do we have any questions from anyone here in the room or online? We've got Alex Young, who's our volunteer treasurer as well in the room. We're happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Yeah. I did want to answer one question from Sarah Solomon, who emailed just around the equipment cost. I think it was £700. That actually related to what we bought previously, which was Taurus equipment, and it was the customs and tax charge that came in the next financial year. So that answers that question. All of that equipment, Taurus equipment, is available to licensed events and training centres. We've had it at quite a few. It was at Nuts at the weekend. It's been at quite a few of our championships. We're going to try and get a bit more of an inventory there, so more of our events and training centres are aware of it and can access it. No other questions? No. All right, I will move on. Resolution 3. Adopt and approve the updated Articles of Association of UK Obstacle Sports Federation Limited, made available to all members. So just some small updates here, just to make you aware of. We've discussed as a board the need to introduce a potential chief executive officer in the future. So this isn't any immediate plans, but if we are to grow and develop a paid staff, a CEO would make sense in that role. So it introduces that potential role, how that role fits into the board, term limits, etc. Well, there was no term limit for a CEO. We have, the board composition adjusted from 4 to 3 for elected directors as a result, and just some section updates in terms of board duties, how a elected committee member is removed, and contract approvals can be delegated by the board. Do we have any questions on the Article of Association? And I'm not sure if I read it out, so I'm just going to, Resolution 3, adopt and approve the updated Articles of Association of UK Obstacle Sports Federation Limited, made available to all members. All right. We'll fly on through. Resolution 4. So this resolution, really, really big topic, but important that we give the opportunity for our members to input. Authorise the board to work towards the integration of FISO and UIPM under the stated conditions. And the full resolution text is below, as you can read. I will read it out. Members of British Obstacle Sports authorise the board of directors to participate in and work towards the integration of Fédération Internationale de Sport des Obstacles, that's World Obstacle, into Union Internationale du Pentathlon Moderne, UIPM, based on the following conditions. Obstacle racing, OCR and Ninja must retain independence as distinct sports within the UIPM structure. OCR and Ninja must have representation at the UIPM executive board level. The international federation resulting from integration must reflect and preserve the identity of all sports under its governance, including OCR and Ninja. A further vote of British obstacle sports members will be held on the final integration plan, which must demonstrate the protections outlined above are in place to safeguard the independence and identity of OCR and Ninja. Subject to this vote, British obstacle sports may vote on the dissolution of World Obstacle, and should that be tabled at the FISO World Congress, at a FISO World Congress. So a lot that we've covered there. I think everyone is familiar with World Obstacle and UIPM. I'm not going to say go into the detail of that, like the backstory of the memorandum of understanding. I did want to point out a couple of things. One is the org structure we're not proposing, but suggesting it's just like we have at British Obstacle Sports. So Ninja and OCR are independent sports within British Obstacle Sports. They each have their own technical committees that set the rules, that set which events they're going to have. So myself and Becky on the board are not saying the Ninja champs should be at this venue. We're supporting as board members, but it's the Ninja technical committee is deciding where the Ninja champs is held. And it's the same from an OCR perspective. It's the British OCR Championships Committee, which Becky sits on as head of OCR, chaired by Dawn Jollies. They're deciding where the championships and the rules are decided for OCR by Becky and the technical committee, for Ninja by Ali and the Ninja technical committee. So this is one important thing that we want to ensure happens at an international level as well. And that will be working more towards that structure. The other kind of thing, just in terms of highlighting why we're thinking this is a good place to go, is UIPM is an Olympic sport. It's a professional sport, and they are also putting a lot of investment into the sport as well. I was out in Lithuania, and this was in a basketball arena for their World Pentathlon Championships. So we can see that investment could be really, really strong for our top athletes, essentially. At a local level, so at a national level, we've been quite clear between British Obstacle Sports and Pentathlon GB. We have a strategic alliance at this point. So there's areas we're working in collaboration with, whether that be kind of events, whether that be youth pathways that Becky and Dave have been working on with Reese at Pentathlon GB. These are the things at this point in time we're working towards and working with. We are not talking at this point around an alignment, an integration at a national level. That being said, it's worth noting if there was an international integration, our strategic alliance outlines that we would come together and discuss what the value is of doing that in the UK. But that's kind of the next stage, but we're not even at that stage yet in terms of discussions. The first step is what's happened at an international level, is we need as British Obstacle Sports to ensure we're exerting our influence internationally to get the best deal at an international level for the sport. We do as a board think that the UIPM route is probably the right route in terms of the options on the table, really open to questions from people in the room. And I know we have some online around the resolution.
Shall I share the ones from email?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me know if you want me to repeat anything. Came in via email. If World Obstacle integrate with UIPM, will all OCR sports be under that umbrella, e.g. Tough Mudder, Spartan, Rough Runner, or just OCR and Ninja?
Yeah.
So there's some clarification around the sport.
Yeah, so I guess that's why we're concerned right now that there's not enough community discussion in these questions. So UIPM, we're pushing to get as much influence UIPM so they understand the intricacies of our sport ultimately, because they might not realise the huge umbrella of what OCR and Ninja is. For us as British Obstacle Sports, it's all or nothing really. If an international federation wants to govern OCR and Ninja, it needs to govern everything. But we're waiting, that's an open question that, again, we need to work with UIPM, so they're clear. Actually, it's not just 100 meter, it is the 24-hour races, it's the ninja, all the different forms. So,
We might also have members who are members of Pentathlon GB and BOSS right now who might be interested in this conversation too. And so with UIPM having 5 sports within its main Olympic family, separate from us, swimming, running, shooting and fencing, they all retain their
Yeah.
respective international and national governing bodies. What benefits does OCR have?
Yeah.
Integrated when
And
others have their.
It's a common question, isn't it? I know, I'm not to put you on the spot, but I know you asked that question, which is perfectly legitimate. I think the biggest thing for me, when you look at swimming, when you look at fencing, you look at athletics, and you look at, I'm missing shooting, I guess, shooting. They're all more established than pentathlon were in terms of the history. So most of them were founded at the start of the century, whereas pentathlon was founded around 1948, I think. So they were already in existence when modern pentathlon was developing. We're in a slightly different situation here, that we are very, very much across the world, not in all countries, but very much across the world, volunteer organisations, and same as an international level, volunteer organisation. The benefit we get from going into UIPM under positive conditions is that they are established professional organisation with paid staff in the Olympic family already. And there's certainly a route you could go down, which isn't going in with another sport, but you're probably looking, argument's sake, 10, 15 years before you even get close to where they are now. So it's more of a time thing. It is a time saver, both from a structural perspective and the governance you get from that, but also because they're already an Olympic sport at this point.
And that's why one of the things that we're keen on and what we're voting on today is that part about having the board representation of obstacle and ninja.
Yeah, because ultimately having board representation at UIPM means that we will have an input into the decisions being made. Yeah.
Okay, there are some additional questions about what happens if and when that happens. If the integration proceeds, will athletes and coaches only need to be a member of Pentathlon UK going forward instead of paying separate fees for BOSS and PGB memberships? Yeah,
they're all questions that will kind of come further down the line. If we haven't got an integration at an international level yet, and this vote, just to be clear to everyone, isn't we will integrate. It is we're open to this, and these are the areas that we want to focus on in terms of our influence, and we want the authority to go and do that essentially, because it's such an important decision, because we are going down that road clearly by this vote. If we don't get this vote, effectively we won't be engaging in those discussions. We will be aligned to World Obstacle, but there are other things that are happening, obviously other votes that are happening at World Obstacle. Not to put you on the spot, Tom, but I am. So we've got Tom here from Obstacle Canada, and I thought it might be, and you might have to come over here just to be on the mic, if that's all right. But just to get a perspective from Obstacle Canada, because I know that you having similar discussions with the community in Canada. And
yeah, we're fortunate, like British Obstacle, to have a very strong relationship with Pentathlon Canada. We sent a memorandum of understanding a couple of years ago that's good through to LA 2028. And it basically just states that we're open to working together during the next 3 years coming up. And we've had some really good opportunities over the past year and a half to actually, take the notes from the memorandum and put them into action. We brought in Ian Adamson from World Obstacle to provide level 3 coaching to our coaches. And now we've taken those coaches who got their level 3 have now gone abroad to places like Chile and Costa Rica to coach level 1 and 2 in those countries. So that's been a big boon. It's also helped the communities come together, whether it's been the pentathlon coaches, the ninja coaches, and the OCR coaches all come together into one environment. And that's led to a full-time pentathlon obstacle course being built in one of the parkour/ninja gyms in Calgary, which is helping those athletes. We just recently had a 100-meter event that had athletes from all 3 sports for the very first time. So we're starting to see the benefit of the integration that's actually happening. And the system in Canada is very similar to here in the UK from a sport perspective. So Sport Canada kind of controls the purse. and who becomes a sport, with a recognized sport within the country. And our best bet within Canada is to do that in combination with Pentathlon Canada. So we see the benefits of doing that. It helps us open doors, helps us get into the coaching association so that we can start developing course material specific to ninja and obstacle. So there's a whole kind of gamut of opportunities that arise when you align yourself with the sporting system that's in place. For us to do that on our own is a very challenging task. We would need 5,000 members, $50,000 in the bank, 6 provincial associations set up as well as the national. And that only gets you recognition, doesn't actually get you money. So the partnership that we have with Pentathlon Canada is our best route. They're aligned with us, which was really nice and seems similar to what you have here in the UK. And it's something that, as a member of the integration committee with James and others from other countries, it's something that we're working hard to achieve. There's no guarantees, of course, but from my perspective, growing up in the sporting system and being having the ability to become a carded athlete in my country in the sport of wrestling, to go to university and have all of that paid, to go on and wrestle internationally, I've benefited from that. So I want to see the same thing for obstacle athletes moving forward. And the best opportunity for do that is in partnership with an existing sport like pentathlon. So, you know, as James mentioned, there's no guarantees on how this will go with UIPM. They can be a little bit challenging to work with sometimes. But overall, we've got a really good team of people who are all working towards the same goal, which is getting the best possible outcome for our sports, with representation on the board and, you know, still having the control that we need in order to move it forward. And that's not just for the 100 meter or the 3K or the 400 meters, it's the longer distances. We want to see those come along. We want the communities to come along with us. We don't want to leave anyone behind. And I'm constantly pushing that in Canada, and I hear that from James as well and Becky. So it's, you know, great to hear that we have this alignment. And I'm just a little bit jealous because we're a ways behind where you guys are here in the UK. I wish I had 12,000 members. I wish I was.
We do as well.
So, sorry, 1,200. I wish we had the support and all the pathways set up for officials, for coaches. I mentioned that we've had some success on the coaching, but now I'm trying to build the officials pathway as well. And this is the first year we're taking a technical official with us to the World Championships. So, you know, I'm watching very closely what you guys are doing here. I'm very proud of you as an organization, and very keen to see you guys grow even further so that we can, so that you can pull us along.
No, thank you.
Thanks, John. We've actually got a couple of questions in response.
Okay, sure.
No.
Over those things. Response here, so do you have any information on what coaching is delivered by Canada in general, just to,
So can you repeat that?
any coaching information, that's delivered, like a quick summary of coaching?
Yeah, so we've taken, with the permission of World Obstacle, we've taken what they had for a level 2, and turned it into something that could be taught. Pascal Dary, who's on our board, he's our director of education. He's going to be in Sweden next week. I think he's in London right now playing on some amusement parks in the city. But he wants to take it even further. Like, we feel there's a lot to add to what World Obstacle has done. So his goal is to work with some of the people within World Obstacle who helped to develop that initial level 2, level 3 material and add to it, not just from a coaching perspective, but an OCR perspective, a ninja perspective. And then once you have, you know, enough level 3s to coach, you're able to kind of go on and coach you're able to provide that instruction to other coaches in other places. So there's no reason why you guys couldn't bring in Ian Adamson here to give a proper level 3 coaching certification. And then you'd have, you know, probably 30 to 40 coaches who were set up to then train other coaches. I hope that answers.
Yes, thank you.
Just to add, in the UK, we've got kind of established, for anyone not on the call, established coaching system. So we've got those trainers that are training other trainers. So do reach out to British Ultimate Sports if you're interested in coaching.
Oh, just one other thing too. So going back to the sporting system in Canada, our goal is to have the coaching framework developed within the National Coaching Association framework, but we need them to open their wallets. We just went through an election. Things are tight, so they're not sharing anything right now, so we don't know when that will happen. So hence the reason for working with the World Obstacle Material. That's all we really have right now, so it's only avenue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And there's one other comment, James Patsby,
Thank
about
you, Tom.
what are, the goals we've been talking about, somewhat Olympic aspiration. Things aren't guaranteed in the Olympics.
Yeah, well, I know that very well from my work
Yeah.
at Pentathlon GB. It's
What are
not.
the other benefits?
It's only currently aligned and confirmed for 2028. We'll find out next year if it will be in the 2032 Olympics. So that clearly is a risk in terms of the international situation. I think the big thing for me, the Olympics is not the main goal here. We need a stable international federation that we can grow with. You can argue that's a question, but that, to be fair, has been the situation in pentathlon for a number of years. They do work from Olympics to Olympics, ensuring they're in the next Olympics, essentially. We have a volunteer international federation that we're working with, World Obstacle. I would say it doesn't have as many volunteers as us as British Obstacle Sports. It's a very small team doing a lot of work, and that has with it challenges, right? If you want to be a developed sport, and we need an international federation, and you have to have, we wouldn't have got past the pre-application without World Obstacle. You have to have an international federation to be able to be a national governing body. And we need an international federation to work in terms of establishing rules, consistency, all those different things. So it's a very fair question in terms of the risk of it not being pentathlon not being in the future Olympics, but that is something that we're obviously going down exploring in terms of this work. And it should be noted that actually probably wouldn't be a final integration decision until after that decision. Not that necessarily makes it a change in decision and tactic, but this is probably going to take a year or so before we get to a point that everyone feels comfortable that we could vote, which ultimately the decision to dissolve World Obstacle. That's the work ahead.
Great. And there's a few comments by email about what happens to the policies like safeguarding, insurance, anti-doping once all that happens, but we already have some of those things in place, right?
Yeah, so we will continue until that's obviously down the line. This vote would not change anything. We continue with our safeguarding policies, our anti-doping rules, all of those things are continued within British Obstacle Sports. This is just giving your blessing to the work we're already doing. So as Tom mentioned, I sit and chair the integration working group. So working at a Pfizer level to work and discuss with UIPM what we need. So I was speaking to the Secretary General of UIPM a couple of days ago, just explaining some of the challenges we're facing as a community with some of the decisions at a UIPM level. And I talked about the 15K and the 12K, like that's an important distance in OCR, for example. Talked about the China event and how that kind of the reaction of the community to that event. So we need to have this dialogue. Otherwise, UIPM will continue to go down one road, and we're not kind of having that discussion and ensuring that the best interests of OCR and Ninja are being reflected in those discussions. All right, thank you.
Can I just have one question on top of that?
Yeah.
I hope people can listen if I'm going to stand up. We know UIPM sent a letter out to Pentathlon GB and every other pentathlon federation in the world about 18 months ago, stating they, in layman's terms, they were going to take over the world. They were going to take over the OCR world, and everyone else had to integrate. We're now going to go and talk to them. You said there, James, you're part of this, the FISO integration group. How are they reacting to them conversations?
Yeah.
Are they wanting to talk to us, or are they still in a case of we're taking over and that's the end of the world?
I would say it's not. It's a mix. I think, and I actually mentioned this when we talked in our Q&A, and I think it's probably accurate that they were expecting, once the memorandum of understanding to happened, so things to move a lot quicker. And I don't think they really understood, because they were paid a secretariat. I don't think they really understood that World Obstacle is a voluntary organisation and things moved much more slower. Same with British Obstacle Sports. We move much slower than other national governing bodies because we're doing it in our spare time. So I think that they had a plan, and they're still moving forward with their plan, and they want to establish OCR, well, now it's called obstacle sports under their statutes, but essentially OCR and Ninja as IOC recognised sports within UIPM, within the UIPM family, essentially. So a lot of the actions that are being taken are to ensure that the IOC see that and they're seen as the official governing body. So there's a bit of conflict there with obviously World Obstacle, which is the international governing body, and that's the things that we're reacting to. So we all reacted probably similar to the China event. They are receptive to the conversations, and they do recognise that people like Tom and I speak on behalf of the community and have awareness. And Tom's been in the sport as long as myself, for example, understand the sport. So they are receptive, but I don't think it's like they're nodding their head. So from my conversation on Friday, it wasn't okay, you can have everything you want, but it was an open conversation. Like we discussed around a committee that represents the different sports, for example. And it wasn't like, no, that's impossible. It was, okay, well, we have an obstacle commission. It's not really functioning yet. Let's talk about that more, for example. So I think it's going to take a lot more work to get where we want to get to. And I think that's my concern is if we kind of are isolationists and say, no, we're just going to keep doing our thing, things are going to keep happening on this side without our influence, ultimately.
Completely agree. Second part of this, you put on there that you're in talks, you're wanting someone to sit on the UIPM board.
Yeah.
Yep. Will they be a vote of all the national governing bodies in every country of who that person is? Or will it be, it's Ian Adamson and that's it?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I think obviously Ian has been involved and is the president of World Obstacle. It's certainly something we can ask and take forward in terms of it should be a vote, because it should be representative, right? I
Yes,
think that's important.
Yeah.
So that's certainly something we can pick up and take forward.
thank you.
Right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all your time listening. It's an important topic and it will continue. I think the other thing to note is it's really important as a sport that we address this and we stay united, because the worst thing that can happen is there's 3 or 4 international federations develop and we end up in a boxing situation or a parkour situation. It's not good for the sport. So we need to work together to address the kind of splinter that's happening now, hopefully, in a positive way. And it may not work, it may not happen, and we're going to have to work out the solution. And we don't know what that might be, but I think the best route forward is to try and address the challenges we have. Okay, thank you. I'm going to skip through to resolutions 5 to 14. I do have to read this out, I apologise. I'm going to read it very quickly. So resolutions 5 to 14. Re-elect James Burton as chair of the British Obstacle Sports Board for a 2-year term. Re-elect Cheryl Roman to the British Obstacle Sports Board for a 2-year term. He'll be an elected director. Re-elect Honor Avara to the British Obstacle Sports Board for a 2-year term. Again, an elected director. Elect Beth Lodge. So this is Ali will be standing down on the Ninja Sport Technical Committee. He will be on the board, and we'll talk about that later. But we're delighted that Beth put her name forward to chair. So elect Beth Lodge to the Ninja Sport Technical Committee as chair for a 2-year term. We have Laura stepping up as vice chair. So elect Laura Baskerville to the Ninja Sport Technical Committee as vice chair for a 2-year term. Re-elect Henry Cookie to the Ninja Sport Technical Committee for a 2-year term. Elect Lindsay Young to the Ninja Sport Technical Committee for a 2-year term. Re-elect Becky Neal to the OCR Technical Committee as chair for a 2-year term. Re-elect Dave Peters to the OCR Technical Committee as vice chair for a 2-year term. Finally, elect Jamie Gay to the OCR Technical Committee for a 2-year term. Does anyone here in the room or online have any questions? I think we've got most of the people standing for election in either in the room or online. Or just any questions around our board and technical committees?
One question came to James.
Okay.
With you being a board member or involved with Pentathlon GB, maybe you can clarify what that involvement is and what do we do to make sure there's no conflict of interest if you're re-elected as a chair. So perhaps just explain your position and then
So my role at Pentathlon GB, I sit on the board of Pentathlon GB. So I have conflicts obviously in both sports, but the reason I sit on both is the value of communication and collaboration between the two sports. We have a conflict of interest policy, as do Pentathlon GB, and we manage that. So I don't know, Becky, you sit on the
Yeah.
board, do you wanna?
So for example, in our board meetings, we have an agenda, which we share beforehand, and we state at the start of the meeting whether we have any conflicts of interest based on the agenda. And if when that agenda item comes up, if we need to discuss anything without James there, we can ask him to leave. We can also leave him out of any voting where he is conflicted. So that's one of the main actions that we have.
Yeah, so I don't vote on any Pentathlon GB related decisions, and I raise the same conflicts in Pentathlon board meetings. We are also continuing to work on our governance structure here. We have a governance committee. One of their tasks is to review all our conflicts of interest as volunteers, and all the board members will be a key focus of that, just to make sure we're kind of not marking our own homework, and we've got a strong governance process.
Independent governance committee and a register related to that.
Yeah, and the governance committee was formed from people with expertise, both inside the sport and outside the sport. So it's a really strong committee of knowledgeable people. I'm really pleased to step forward to chair that and to run that committee, sorry.
No other questions?
Okay, thank you everyone. So it's also worth noting actually at this point that quite a few on this list, this will be our third term. And the maximum we can stand for is 4 terms. So we do need to bring new people into the organisation, especially from an elected perspective. So if there's people out there interested in the future of chairing the organisation, of being elected director, running technical committees, these kind of things, so do raise your hands, because we do need to plan for the future as well. We are also looking for some additional non-execs, which I think actually we're going to just quickly touch on. Yeah, so I'm just going to mention Ali's appointment. So Ali's previously been elected as head of Ninja and sat on the board for the last 4 years in that elected role. So he's appointed now rather than elected. We've got up to 4 appointments that we can make. He just recognised his capacity in terms of the kind of more executive role, which is a head of role, versus the role he's going to take kind of as a non-exec director. And Ali's kind of one of Ali's focus is actually also going to help us internationally as well. So he's going to spend a lot of time. He's out in the States a lot, working with the ninja community out there. He sits on the World Obstacle Ninja Technical Committee. So we're really keen to have Ali's voice within the board and also abroad as well, internationally. And we're also reappointing Mike Loosemore. Mike Loosemore is a top Team GB medical doctor who sits on the board and just is a great source of advice and knowledge within the sport, of the wider sport ecosystem. And we are currently interviewing for a couple more roles that we're going to add on the non-exec, just trying to get knowledge from a sports kind of structural perspective within like UK sports for England, that ecosystem and like how to develop funding and all these kind of things. Also looking around PR, safeguarding. So we did a skills matrix to the board, like where are the gaps in what we're doing, and looking to fill those with a couple of additional spots as well. Some exciting things coming up. Honorary life members. So honorary life members shall be those persons who, in the opinion of the board, warrant recognition for their service to the sport and recreation of obstacle sports. So it's really hard actually as a board because the board decides these life members. It's really hard to do. We had a long list of people that we talked about for most of the board meeting, and we settled on 3 names, and so we can give up to 4. We settled on 3, and hopefully everyone who receives these awards sees it as a huge honour to receive them as well. And it does mean that you've given, whether that be over a long period of time or a short period of time, you have a huge amount of value to the sport and should be commended. The first person is looking at his phone. Is Mr. Alan Moore. Thank you, Paula, for making sure he was here today. So yeah, Alan has been part of the OCR community for as long as everyone knows, basically. since the beginning. He developed the UK obstacle racing, set up the UK obstacle racing community, which is like 15,000 members. Has been to most events in the country. The Muddy Duck, the alter ego, as everyone knows him by, runs Overload, has been a race director at different events. I think also more recent years, more people will be familiar with, is the podcast as well, and how valuable that is to everyone as a place to listen to understand the sport, and just all the work you get put in as a volunteer, Alan. Not within BOSS, although we talk more, but that BOSS is not just about BOSS, it's the wider ecosystem of the sport. And that's why it's so important to have people like Alan putting in an incredible amount of work to grow the sport. And all the work on the UK OCR series, and the Wolf Run, the Wolf Run wins. Also, you're a great racer as well, especially the longer distance now, and it's like Top Mudder, Europe's Toughest Mudder, winning age group, second at World's Toughest Mudder last year. So no, it's a great honour to ask you to come up as an honorary life member, Alan.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll grab a photo with you afterwards, Alan.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anything you want to say?
No.
Thanks for the podcast.
Sure.
Alan's gonna like to do a little thank you on the podcast, maybe, mate. Yeah. And if anyone doesn't know the podcast, UK OCR podcast, do listen. It's a great resource. Number 2, and these are in no particular order, by the way. We jump to it. This is someone who hasn't been in as OCR as long as Alan, but it's been a key part of British obstacle sports as well, especially in the last few years. And that's Dawn Jollies. Dawn, it was all perfect. Dawn was going to be here, and then her car broke down, or she's doing something with her car, and Dawn, because of her visual impairment, can't drive at night. So he isn't here, unfortunately. I tried to get her to suggest to stay at my house, so she could drive home in the morning, but it didn't quite work. But no, Dawn, as most people know, is a tireless member of the community, and work, especially in the last 2 or 3 years, has been really, really heavily involved with British obstacle sports. The amount of work he puts in, you've seen the scale of the national team and everything that happens there. Honestly, like all of that, like people behind the scenes, we're helping, but Dawn is the one doing all the work, like really, and like coordinating all of the core team and people helping and supporting. She's dealing with any problem, big or small. Honestly, the national team wouldn't be where it is today without Dawn's leadership and support. All the work she's put into the national kit, that's all Dawn's work. The partnership with Surridge Sport, which is also a benefit to us as British obstacle sports as well. I've got a partnership now, and we get a small merchandise kind of contribution from all the work, all the sales of kit and things. She's not only doing that though, she's involved in many other things. She chairs the British OCR Obstacle National Championships Organised Committee. We'll go with that. She chairs that, and we have a number of championships every year now. She chairs the Youth and Safeguarding Committee, which is a really critical committee, which has developed our policies and is working to develop our youth athletes. Recently joined the Youth Committee for World Obstacle, and is doing a lot of work to ensure our international championships have the same consideration as our national championships. And some of the decisions or changes that have been made at at international championships are because of people like Dawn working to ensure that our youth kids are being our children are being championed and looked after. Also works really hard as an athlete, and recently classified as adaptive and has a visual impairment, and just not letting that stop her and really kind of continuing her OCR journey. I just want to thank personally and on behalf of the board and probably all the national team for all of your contribution, Dawn. I'm sad you couldn't be in person, but understood. I didn't want to give the game away, but I just wanted to thank you as an honorary life member, Dawn.
Thank you, James, and everybody else. It's an honour. Thank you very much. It's yeah, I'm not one for speeches, so I'm not gonna hang about and make a big speech, but no, thank you. It's really, really appreciated.
Amazing. Thanks, Dawn. And we do have some upgraded life member awards, so anyone else who was a previous life member, I've got some for you as well. So last but not least, we obviously have different people on the board, and not everyone knows everyone, because we've got OCR Ninja. But this, I will say, was, when we said this name, it was absolutely, this person embodies OCR. Is Wendy Brothers. Wendy is just incredible. Been involved, I think 2017. Probably I got to know Wendy around kind of the COVID change and the national what they called the time trials. And probably since then, I don't think I've been to a race where Wendy hasn't been at. Probably Ramunas has probably been there as well, to be fair.
You couldn't run away from where.
Wendy, you just embody the spirit of the sport. And no, you obviously last year at the UK OCR Awards, you won Volunteer of the Year, you won Personality of the Year, because you do embody everything that the sport has to offer. And we're incredibly grateful that you continue to choose OCR and Ninja. You get involved and support the Ninja side as well. Yeah, and I don't, yeah, as I say, and 3K national champs winners, 60 plus, but you don't care what event it is, do you, Wendy? You're just there.
Love it.
And then on the British Oddball Sports side, you're helping coordinate all the stands and getting the word out there, and it's incredibly valuable, and you chair the OCR community. So we're incredibly grateful for everything you do, and you do embody the sport of OCR. So we'd love you to step forward and claim the Honorary Life Member Award.
Thank you very much. I've no words.
Do you don't want to say anything?
Yeah, thank you.
Then you're gonna do her own podcast.
Okay,
Wow.
so we have 6 life members, Sean, Joe and Dean, now joined by Alan, Dawn and Wendy. So no, just want to say thank you to everyone, and thanks to the entire community, really. I know we've picked out these people. As I say, we talked about a lot of people when we were making this decision. There's so many great people within the community. It's hard, and we purposely made it hard to pick people, and rightly so, but it's good that we have our life members kind of held in high regard. A quick adjournment. That's the official business done. We have got half an hour, so we're not gonna go longer than half an hour. But we've got a few updates and things that we're going to run through. But you've been here for the official business now, and if anyone has any issues voting, if you haven't voted here, you can let us know. But you only have 30 minutes now to vote. It is really important if you can vote. Oh, and I want to thank Towergate. So Towergate are insurance brokers. They have a new name. I'm really sorry, Nick, because I forgot what it's going to be, but I was going to say it. But they are continuing the partnership for British Oddball Sports, and they are supporting basically our awards as well. So they give a contribution each year that we can help award in the community, like these, but also we have one more award to give. So we've decided, I don't know if it's going to reveal it straight away. Can't remember my slide. No, it didn't. Good. We decided to have a British Oddball Sports Volunteer of the Year award. And this is something we're going to do every year now. And this may be someone, a technical official, it may be someone who's a volunteer within British Oddball Sport. But we want to make sure we do give a shout out to members of the community that are just going above and beyond to develop and help the sport. This person isn't here today, which really helped me out because I really want to pick a special award that we can use in the future as well. So I'm going to present it hopefully at the UK OCR Awards, and if that's okay, next year. But we did want to announce who it is this year. And I think maybe people know this, maybe don't. I don't know, because we see behind the scenes how much work this person puts in, and it should be on the line. but it's Tim Crangle, so boss, volunteer of the year award. As I say, the amount of like, I wouldn't be able to function in this role if it wasn't for Tim, because he helps me out so much, and I know he's coordinating kind of all our volunteers, our coaches, and helping them so much behind the scenes. So really want to give a massive thank you, Tim, for all your effort. Hopefully you're still on and listening in, and presenting your awards up in Scotland in March. So yeah, Tartan Warrior. End of March will also be the UK OCR Awards up there. So no, thank you, Tim, for all your work, and really appreciate everything you've done for British Optical Sports.
No problem. I'll make a speech when you give me the award.
There you go. You got time to prepare.
Yeah, I get time to prepare. All right. Thanks.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. All right. Additional business. I'm going to fly through some of these updates, but we have the application submitted. We are waiting for feedback, essentially. I think it's going to be a slow process, but we're just pushing for updates. But we're in the ecosystem of our full application with the sports councils. All the hard work's done. Now we've got to continue as an organisation. So we can't just say we've done it now. We don't need to have good governance processes. We continue the hard work, essentially, but a line has been drawn in terms of the organisation. So this was part of our priority number one, is strong foundations for our sport. We've got our full application in. It was a blueprint for what a good governing body should be. There's a few things within the sports governance code we just need to tie up, small bits and pieces, but then we're being in a position, once recognised, to be able to access funding. And we need to develop a commercial strategy, which, as we want to get to a point where we can bring in some small staff to run the organisation, a small staff team. So we need to look at how we generate revenue to be able to afford staff, and that's still in progress. All of these priorities we're looking to develop and fit complete by the end of next year. The next one was help events to thrive, and help events and facilities to thrive. Continuing to work with the industry. We've got a number of affiliated centres. We've added a couple this year. We've got Fun Parks Dundee. We have Aquachim Kent, which is a great ninja facility over water, and there will be a Ninja Sport UK League event, 22nd of September. 21st of September. Thank you, Wendy. So do try and get along to that. We continue to grow the licensed events we support. So 94 last year, projected 106 next year. So some of these are events that they're not necessarily all new events. They're events that have chosen now to be governed by and supported by British Optical Sports. We want to continue to grow this, and there's still a few out there that aren't, and there's a couple of relatively big names, more on the kind of participation side, like Pretty Muddy 5K, that we'd like to bring in and affiliate and get promoted on our website. For anyone who is running an event or a training centre, we've got our next industry forum on November 4th, 2025. We'll be sending out details on that. Priority 3, increase access to obstacle sports. Pretty key part of that has been the youth participation, talent development. We want to kind of grow the access of the sport. Becky, Dave Peters, some people from Pentathlon GB have been starting to work on that. Maybe we can touch on that later if we've got time. We also are working really closely with Pentathlon GB and Youth Sport Trust. So they've done a pilot already in primary schools, and they want to scale it because it was so successful. As we all know it would be, kids love doing fun games and throwing themselves around, and what obstacle is essentially. So excited to see where that could go. Primary schools and hopefully secondary schools with syllabus, like content that they can use either for in-school lessons or after-school lessons. So if you're out of school, do reach out as well, because there's some content potentially that can be made available. And we're going to work as British Optical Sports quite closely with Youth Sport Trust and Pentathlon GB to continue to develop that. The big goal there is to get more people outdoors, more people exercising, and also hopefully building a talent pool from that as well. So there'll be kids that excel and they see the opportunities at a whether that be going into pentathlon, it'd be in one discipline of 5, or going into OCR, or going into ninja in the future. The site is continuing to grow. We're probably projected 65k visits this year. We want to continue to develop that and more content on the site as well, so we can promote the events out there, because some people don't know about different events around the country. So we're starting to build traffic to that website and becoming a real hub for talking about the sport. And this has been on the list for a while, but we do have a member, Gareth Oakley, who is a fantastic technical wizard and engineer, and he's got a way to essentially give us that map content that we can actually start to pin locations and events and things on a map. Raise awareness of obstacle sports. We want to build the brand beyond the traditional Tough Mudder, Spartan, Ninja Warrior, although that's important. Becky's done some great work getting the name out into news publications, and that's kind of one of the reasons why we also want to get someone from a PR perspective onto the board to hopefully spread the word of our great sport. We do have some guidelines that are out there for anyone on Instagram. We want to share your experience of the sport, so we've got some guidelines we can share with you to type of content we're promoting, essentially what supports our mission, the whole breadth of the sport, whether it be someone doing some crazy ninja skill to just the community and the teamwork and camaraderie of the sport. We're starting to get some content online as well. If you want to do reviews of events, we can get that onto our website and talk about kind of events you've been to. And last but not least is our strategic priority number 5, which is use our sport as a platform for tackling activity. We've probably done less here, but what we do want, if there's anyone out there with case studies of them coming into the sport, having done nothing before, and then come into the sport and it's transformed their life, which I think it has for a lot of people, we want to tell those stories and share them. And we want to try and showcase the success stories of obstacle sports, and ultimately get people into the sport that aren't necessarily already doing sport. Because I think it's one sport that actually can attract people from doing nothing to being very active. So yeah, our strategic framework, continuing to work on this and we meet as a board, just kind of reviewing how we're progressing those areas, and get involved. Share your feedback, areas you think we're not doing well at. We want to hear that feedback. I think we're a learning organisation. We want to hear from everyone and contribute. It's our collectively our sport, so we're all in this together. I'm going to pause for a little bit. Becky's got some updates.
Hi, ready? Let me know if you can't hear, although maybe you should want to. We just heard about some of the wider, more broad parts of the strategic plan. I'm going to talk a little bit more focus on the competition element and our fantastic UK team. Alongside the athletes, of course, there are the technical officials, often not recognised. So I'd like to say a special thanks to all those people. I do think we have the best technical officials in the world. We certainly represent a large number of those technical officials at large events. Did you say you're bringing one? One from Canada. I think we're bringing a few more to the World Championships this year. So thank you to the technical officials. The national team has grown. We had a huge number of athletes at the European Championships this year in Portugal. I think that was the largest number yet, 151, which did, like James mentioned earlier, put us at the top of the medal table, which is a huge accomplishment. So this sort of talent pathway that we just mentioned will help feed into that, and we really want to grow both the elite athletes and the age group athletes. I think that's really a special part of our sport. Something that maybe isn't so clear in pentathlon actually is that age group competition and the representation that we have here. In fact, most of those medals, the gold medals and silver medals, are from those age group athletes. So really impressive showing this year. We have about 112 different athletes going to the World Championships. That's next week, a few days away. So looking forward to seeing everybody there. But I think this growth that you can see on the screen is a real testament to all the different angles and different committees that are, coaching and officials, and the work that the technical committees are doing as well. If you're not interested in competing at one of those kind of European or national championships, we also have our own team competing at these other events. So we've got the Spartan and Tough Mudder events, the World Championships, World Tough Mudder, which Alan competed in, as we talked about earlier. It's happening again in the UK next year. We're excited to be part of that. And I think you can wear, flip to the next page. I'm just going to let us know. we've got a new t-shirt. So thank you for Dawn helped organise this. You can represent GBR at those events as well with one of these fantastic t-shirts. So this is the next event coming up, 11th to 14th, the 3K, 12K team race and 100-meter athletes are going to be there. We've got a really strong squad across the adaptive elite age group athletes and quite a few juniors as well. I think our junior team is usually larger than the rest of the nations as well. Coming up quite soon is the European Championships in Poland. So that's a new kind of ninja European Championships, which we haven't had, I don't think it's existed before.
No.
This is the inaugural event, European Ninja Championships. So perhaps if you're interested in 100-meter OCR, you might consider having a go at one of these competitions. There are different setups to this. If you want some more information, we've got some really great volunteers, Beth, Tommy, Laura and Luke there who are involved. So if you have some questions, you can talk to them. Next year, we know that the European Championships is going to be in Spain, slightly different location to other races. And that's at the end of May, so slightly earlier than previous years. And then after that, we have the World Championships again, quite close to home in Ireland. And that's in August. So they're both shifted a bit earlier next year. I think both those locations are great for us to be able to have a really strong squad as well. Those won't include the 400 meters.
The world stuff.
The World does, but not the European Championships. That will be a separate event again like this year. And then the year after that, we already know that Estonia are going to be hosting the 2027 European Championships, but we don't know about the World Championships. So if you want to take part in one of those things and represent the country at age group or elite competition, we have some ways that you can do that. There's lots of different qualifying events. There's a spreadsheet available that's linked from our website if you go to the competition section. We are developing our 26 national kind of selection policy at the moment. It will be similar to what we have already this year. So there'll be a number of events where you can place in a top number. There's a 50% rule, which is explained on the website as well. And we're always welcoming athletes from different sports as well to become a member and represent the UK and have a go at any one of those distances: 100 meters ninja, 3K, 400 meters stand distance, and team race as well. Coming up, we have our own national championships. So we've already had a couple this year, but still to come, we have the Youth Championships, one of my favourite events. That's going to be near Birmingham in October on the 19th. You can take part in the final UK OCR series race as well if you want to come watch the junior athletes, the youth athletes, and also race yourself at Storm. And then hosted by Spartan is the Ultra OCR Championships, and that's at Pivingford Park in October. The leagues or series, we've already touched on a few of them. The UK OCR series has 8 events. That's the classic distance. It ranged this year from 7K to 21K, and Alan and Ian helped organise that. Then we've got the 3K series. This is the first year, the 3K second year the series has happened. They've already started planning their events for next year, so really fantastic organisation or group of race directors that help run that. So get involved if you want to practice your 3K racing. The Scottish community also have a bunch of races there, and you can score points to be kind of counted in that league as well. Plus we have the Endurance League, and recently we added the Limitless League for adaptive athletes who can count laps at lots of different events around the country to win that league as well. Plus new this year is the Sprint Series. Tommy Matthews helped launch that this year, and that's even shorter events, the Sprint Series, which is exciting. Any questions? Great.
Actually, so we forgot to add the Limitless Challenge. So actually, I probably should say, Jamie created it, and I'm trying to kind of push it. If there's anyone out there who wants to support Jamie and I in terms of just getting the word out there more, helping with the results and things and social media, please do reach out, because it'd be great to promote that. The Limitless Challenge is open to all adaptive athletes, and it's essentially just how far you can go in OCR races. And I think we've got a few more updates, and then we're probably going to finish on time, which is great. Governance committee, I mentioned earlier, we formed the governance committee. Basically, it's really important that we are a well-run organisation, and we, as a board, we're not marking our own homework all the like, so we're getting that contribution from experienced people within the sport and outside the sport, contributing to reviewing kind of best practices, reviewing our policies, reviewing our conflicts of interest, all these kind of things, and holding us to account as well as a board. So supporting us, and really grateful for everyone's contribution there. But I think it's important because we always want to be striving to grow as an organisation, and it's good to get additional insight. Our coaching pathway goals remain the same: more coaches trained, more coaches certified. The coaching committee led by Teresa Goddard is doing a great job. There is a coaches forum on September 27th, 2025. We are going to try and do another coaching course this year, but it's just working with kind of capacity and availability to everyone. So this year's been mainly a stabilisation, getting our processes in place right. Tim's been doing a lot of work following up with coaches as well, but we are working a lot behind the scenes. We've got a full coaching committee representing Ninja and OCR. So yes, getting the Ninja course out as well. So they're working on an updated Ninja course. So if you are a coach and interested, or want to be a volunteer coach, and not necessarily like from a career perspective, you can reach out and hopefully get onto the next courses coming up. Becky mentioned our technical officials. We have 158 technical officials. Joe Dawson Cox as chair of the committee, and all the committee members and the head of the CTOs do a fantastic job of building this community out. I think I would recommend to any athlete to do the course and try and volunteer at least once as a technical official. It is really hard to do. I mean, I've done it a few times. If you're on a rig and you've got hundreds of athletes running through, sometimes there's 4 athletes coming through at the same time, and you're the only person on that rig, trying to officiate that is challenging, and you've got to be really focused and on it. So it's a good opportunity to reflect also as competitive athletes, that be kind to our officials. They do it all as volunteers as well, and do an incredible job too. Again, reach out if you want to get involved with our technical officials community, and just you can all help. You can all, as a community, if you see an event that's not affiliated, or a club or a coach or a centre, just get them to reach out, tell them about what we're doing at British Optical Sports, and spread the word. Oh, we have. Yeah, look at this. We've got time for any questions. We've got 10 minutes. We don't have to use 10 minutes. I know I'm very grateful, actually, I should have said at the start, for everyone giving up their Saturday evening to help and spend time with the AGM. But if anyone has any questions, I'm going to put Alan on the spot because I said he was going to have to ask a question if we had time. Feel free to ask.
There's no other thing. I couldn't put mine. You've actually touched on mine. But when we look from the inside of our sport that we all love, it's pretty good. 1,200 members for British Optical Sports, which is absolutely brilliant. However, I'm not sure I'm around at Nuclear today, but last time I went at Nuclear, there were nearly 6,000 people.
Yeah.
We go to Spartan, there's 12,000 over a weekend, and the same with Tough Mudder. You touched the other one about trying to get an impact on them, but what's the nitty-gritty of how to get into them to get them to sign up?
Yeah. So I don't know if people could hear online, but I'll just repeat the question. So Alan was saying we've got 1,200 members. That's fantastic, but there's obviously a lot more people. Our questionnaire we do with all our events meant there was, I think, 220,000 participants. So not necessarily unique, but a huge amount of people in the UK last year took part in the sport. And Alan was asking how do we get out to those people? How do we reach out to them? How do we get them involved? There's probably 2 parts, I would say. The first part is not everyone will be a member, and that's okay. We govern the collective sport, not just our members. So we govern the sport overall, and that's okay. Some people will just do it once, or just be a part and not really necessarily want to engage in the federation. The second part is just developing our membership proposition, because if it's really valuable, I always use the Amazon Prime example. Amazon Prime, people pay it because you get the delivery, you get the Amazon video, you get the storage, you get all these benefits. Oh, I might as well just pay it, like whatever it is, £10 a year or £10 a month, or whatever. So we need to get to a position where the membership proposition is so strong that people are attracted to pay that, whether that be discounts for events, whether that be, we've got insurance, but whether that be a stronger insurance proposition. The other part is also getting the word out there. And that's a communication task. And again, that's a time challenge in terms of getting the word out there to the community. So I think that's for me, the nitty gritty of how do we continue to develop our membership proposition, and how do we get the word out there? And some of those are referenced in our strategic priorities. Because there's definitely, if you think about the bubbles, we've got this core, there's definitely a next level round that of people that are engaged and would say, know what OCR is. That's probably a good place to start. Ideally, we want to bring them into as members of British Obstacle Sports. Brett, would you add anything? Becky?
Well, we're recruiting to the board and we're looking for that experience potentially as a board member. Also, I know just personally things that I do, I basically don't stop talking about obstacle course racing, but I've done at least 4 radio interviews, several TV interviews, and I have BBC interviews lined up to do things that are, there's a purpose, there's a hook for them, and it might be, a personal challenge. But every time I do one of those, I'm talking about British Obstacle Sports. I'm not talking about myself necessarily. And I have a PR agency that I'm working with to help spread those things through doing those challenges, which are, kind of stand out, to then try and raise the awareness for the people who aren't already doing that. We've also done things like invited influencers to our races, to try and spread the word, people who are either into fitness or people who are into building other people into fitness. So we are looking and exploring all those different angles. Sometimes we don't have enough to offer to make the biggest impact, but every time we have an idea, we try and follow it through, and that's, I guess, the nitty gritty. Like I've got an interview at 8 AM on Tuesday with a PR agency to talk about it.
There's currently 96 licensed events. I think so, 96 in there.
94 last year.
Yeah.
What are they doing to add value to get members to join? Because as a race director myself, I'm going to be honest and say I've not added no value to British Obstacle Sports as a race director, other than saying you were part of
you've run events, though. That's value, right?
Yes.
And I think there's obviously things we'd want to do and coordinate events. This is where, so we've built the foundations, and now the next step is to commercialize the organisation, because everything you add on as a volunteer, it becomes harder and harder because you become a paid organisation without having paid staff.
Yeah.
So we've kind of got to be careful the more things we add on, because I think there's about 30 or 40 event brands, maybe less, 20 to 30 maybe. It takes a lot of time speaking to all those events, coordinating, but that's kind of where, like, the industry forum would be good conversation to ask and have that discussion and say, because even things like love to be able to put membership sign up within the registration journey, for example. These kind of things would be great to do. It's just on the to-do list, and I think that's where we want to get as an organisation. Within a couple of years, get to a point where we've got a small team that can run the organisation, and then people like Becky and I, or whoever comes in the future, can set the strategy and drive the vision of the sport, and you have people that are paid to deliver on it and work with events and work with training centres and things like that.
Okay, cool.
Hasn't Farmyard Jam added to boxing as well by being part of the Ultra Series?
I hope it has, I hope it has, because we told our members that to get the points, they've got to be members of British Obstacle Sports. But as going out there and promoting it, I don't think we've probably done the most we could have done, and there's still room for improvement.
So Alan was just, and Alex was just talking about Farmyard Jam and the Ultra as being part of the Endurance League, but I think probably like people like yourself and training centres actually just getting the word out there of OCR in general. Doesn't necessarily have to be British Obstacle, and that's something we can work towards, and we're starting to get more visibility of the British Obstacle Sports brand at events and centres. So that's important. I think, you shouldn't underestimate all the work that race directors like you are doing. Wendy?
And also for things like Farmyard Jam, Mud Monsters, a lot of the races that are smaller races, we have had boss representation, we've had our barrier jackets, we've had the flags, we've had people there talking, and race directors like Alan have sent people over to boss to talk to us,
Yeah.
so there is boss representation at the races.
Yeah, no, it's a really important point around the stand, Wendy, and I know we're multiple years into British obstacle sports, and the stand can be sometimes seen as, oh, it's always there and people will do it, but actually we always need volunteers just to spend some time at the stand, even if it's just a couple of hours, and even if you're talking to a couple of people that are left with the impression of the sport, that's a really valuable contribution. So yeah, Wendy very kindly puts a message out very often, so, and you see that, and just don't be afraid to offer a couple of hours of your time at a future event. Alex?
And one of the benefits of being a boss member is having that insurance, tailgate insurance. I tend to be skeptical of insurance policies, and I think a lot of people do. Do you actually have any examples where tailgate have paid out and helped one of our members?
So to be fair, no, but we've not had any claims.
Right.
Which is actually a good thing in a way. Because actually the insurance is, it's critical. My battery's gonna die. It's critical injury insurance, so it's actually quite bad injuries, which none of us really want. So, or it's like worst case is death, it's a payout.
Right.
So, and it's just a nice, peace of mind. You get an additional contribution from an insurance perspective. So, but that's also to an extent a positive in a way, because we're trying within the insurance industry to build a positive image of our sport, because insurance is quite expensive because it's seen as quite extreme and high risk. So that's where the partnership with Tailgate's also working to explain that to insurance providers it's not actually as high risk as long as it's governed well, and then safety protocols and things like that.
There was a question also via email a bit that touched on safety, and just maybe you could touch on what our safety committee does look into and what we're doing in that area.
Yeah, so we'll wrap up here with the last question. The first thing to say is we're very fortunate as a sport that the sport has existed without a national governing body, and any brand has to meet certain requirements, or any centre to be able to get insurance and to be able to run as an organisation. So all the events out there, all the training centres out there have risk assessments, they have insurance, they have all the things in place, or at least the ones we've seen. And that's why I think I would say the first thing is it's a bit different to other sports, where the sports are there's not really many businesses in the same way. Even the sports created the structure ultimately, and they go to the governing body. Like that had to exist because there was no governing body, so they went and created all their risk assessments, and they aligned with health and safety best practices and water safety and all these things. That being said, it's important we guide and help, and we bring new events on the journey as well. So we have a safety management committee that have developed our risk assessment policies and health and safety policies that licensed events and affiliated centres comply with and agree as part of the affiliation and licensing. And then we're working with that committee and the sport in general, just to how do we continue to make the sport attractive, and from an insurance perspective is one thing, because if it's a safe sport and injuries are managed, because you always have injuries, insurance premiums don't go crazy, and we're able to hopefully keep ticket prices down. So that work continues. It's a collaboration with the Safety Management Committee and the industry to ensure we're a safe sport moving forward. And also supporting Pentathlon GB. They're a new governing body with a discipline that's new to them. So working with, they're not a new governing body, this discipline is new to them. So working with them to ensure that their events are safe, their training centres managed effectively as well for a new sport, which they're learning quickly as well, and so it's great to see the national training centre there. We're going to leave it there on time, subject to election, hopefully. This will be your board. We're adding Beth to the board. Thank you, Beth, for being on the call as well. And yeah, we're continuing the journey and continue the work. I think we want to do more. This is our strategic plan, line. Let's play. We want to do more of this. We want to get the word out. It's such a fun sport, And that's why we all love it so much. OCR, Ninja, it's just incredible to be involved with. And so hopefully we can use this motto in the year ahead to do some great things. Thank you everyone online for being here. Thank you everyone in the room. Really appreciate your time. And we will leave the 2025 AGM here. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, everyone.